Greetings, gentlemen. Did you know that you can heal your own courier with your Necrophos Q? Well, in this guide you're going to learn this and many more things about items, about strategies in the game, about the skill build, and everything there is about Necrophos with his abilities. Towards the end we're going to jump into a replay and we're going to watch this rank 250 player have the craziest item build on Necrophos and see how he's dominating his games. Alright, let's get started. Let's get into the strengths and weaknesses of Necrophos. For the strengths, of course Necrophos is an amazing healer, he's super durable, he has a ton of anti-regen, he's a strong laner, and he has a E-Blade built in, which many heroes don't have. For the weaknesses, he's weak against magic damage that's coming in. If he's playing against Skywrath Mage, Lina, all of those kind of heroes, Tinker even, he kind of struggles with it because he doesn't have a ton of things to defend himself and he's forced to buy magic resistant items. He's kind of low on the mobility side. Sure, you can get the shard and advance with this in the game, but it's still a little bit difficult for him to move on the map. That's why he oftentimes gets TP boots and some items to kind of counter this. And it's a little bit difficult to recover from lanes when you lost. Your ability to jungle kind of requires a couple of levels, and you want to be dominant in the game, you want to collect ulti stacks, and yeah, you just don't want to fall off too early and you want to become a unkillable monster. Let's get into the matchups real quick. So he's really bad against Death Prophet, Visage and Muerta. I think those heroes make a ton of sense in the recent game because they have a lot of magic damage, they can buy orchids on Visage or items that counter him strongly, and Muerta has a ton of magic damage with her ulti, so she can basically pierce through Necrophos really easily. He's really good against heroes like Huskar that rely on their physical damage because they use their spear and you can stop getting out-attacked. And the next thing of course is that he's low HP, so you can always ulti him off cooldown basically, and he's guaranteed to die. Huskar has a ton of HP, but he's going to be very low all the time. Spectre is bad against Necrophos because Spectre needs a ton of HP, buys Heart of Thrask and all of those items, but Necrophos is good against heroes with a lot of HP, and also Spectre can't really burst down or kill Necrophos, and Spectre relies on killing teammates easily of the enemies and getting support pickoffs, and Necrophos prevents this as well by having sustain and regen items for his teammates. He's nicely comboed with any hero that has AoE control, drags out the fight and enjoys the long fights. Elder Titan, Enigma and Winter Wyvern in this patch have been specifically good with the synergy, and he is really bad with heroes that have a super aggressive early timing and want to be together with many units and just do stuff together. Those heroes that you see here, Jen, Broodmother and Lycan, it's actually interesting to see that all of them control units, so something is definitely wrong with Necrophos and unit heroes. Maybe the map is split up in different ways, he doesn't have the capability to farm that many creeps, he's not the leader in the team fight. Broodmother and Lycan have a ton of movement speed and want to be playing around really quickly in team fights, and Necrophos is lacking behind in his ability to move towards them and close up. Let's get into the starting items. They're usually very basic. You see the tangos and the branches built in a bracer and or a null talisman, then into boots. Sometimes people get a stick in between, depends a little bit on the matchup. And then most of the Necrophos players, disregarding actually of the lane where you play off lane or mid lane, they tend to get Kaya and Sanch and then a shard afterwards. The classical things that you will see on a Necrophos are Aghanim Scepter, Octarine Core, TP Boots to counter his lack of mobility, Radiance, Shiva's Guard, Heart of Thrask. All of those items enable him to be more tanky, to be even more a menace in a teamfight. Your only goal is really to stay alive as long as possible, to cast your spells constantly, heal your teammates, wait for good ulti opportunities, and you just wanna bait the enemies of thinking that you're almost dead and then you just never die. This is the whole concept of Necrophos. Things that can help with this would be Lotus, you can get a Hex if you need some extra lockdown, BKB if you think the magic damage is going too high. We're actually going to watch a replay real quick of somebody who's buying a Manta to dodge some magic damage, so stay tuned. Overwhelming Blink, Windlace and Plate Mail, all of those are great items. They synergize well with what Necrophos wants to do. He wants to be staying alive, being annoying, controlling the team fights in any way that he can, and just soak up as much damage as he can while also putting out as much as he can. The laning stage is straightforward. You want to get Death Pulse maxed out as first, and your Heartstopper Aura for the laning stage to keep the enemies low. Ghost Shroud will come later on after you got a point in your ulti and you maxed out your Death Pulse, and with this setup you can already fight. Then you just finish what's left with the focus on the Heartstopper Aura, get the Ghost Shroud, and you're done with the builds. For the talents, you want the plus 100 Reaper Scythe cast range. It's gonna come handy so many times, you can't believe how short the range actually is. For level 15, Ghost Shroud movement slow is what I see the most. Heal is sometimes of utility. I feel like if you have a super important core that you want to take care of, so something like that, you could opt for heal, but most of the times it's more reliable to play for your own game. Then we go for the level 20 talent with the plus 30 Heartstopper regen reduction. This is incredible against so many cores that rely on lifesteal, high HP, any sort of regeneration. And then on level 25 we get the plus 0.5% Heartstopper Aura damage. Let's get into the abilities of Necrophos. Death Pulse is a spell that you can cast and it deals damage towards areas in a specific radius. It also heals the units that are friendly and yourself in that area. Death Pulse travels at a speed of 400, it affects invisible units and units in Fog of War, it does not affect invulnerable and hidden units, it fully affects allied couriers for the heal, and it has a mana cost of 160 once it's maxed out. Ghost Shroud enables you to switch up the form and you're unable to attack or to be attacked, and you slow enemies around you. The slow radius is 750 and you take increased magic damage by 25%. It turns Necrophos eternal, disarming him, rendering him attack immune and granting 100% physical damage resistance. It reduces Necrophos magic resistance to 6.25%. With the magic resistance reduction from this source, every 10 points of intelligence further increases the total magic resistance by 1.25%. It grants the following effects while active: heal amplification and mana restore amplification for incoming healing and mana restoration received by Necrophos, self, health and mana regen amplification. It stacks multiplicatively with restoration manipulation, sources of the same type. The movement speed slow is provided by an aura and its debuff lingers for 0.5 seconds. Heartstopper Aura decays the enemy health to up to 2.4%. Every time you get a kill or a last hit, your health regen spikes up to 7. Your mana regen per kill gets up to 7 as well. Your hero kill regen multiplier is 6, so killing heroes is especially worthy. And your regen duration of that bonus that you get from killing creeps, for example, is 8 seconds. The health loss from Heartstopper Aura is direct HP removal, so it does not trigger any on-damage effects. The damage has the no spell amplification flag, preventing its damage from being amplified with spell damage amplification. However, its damage can be further increased by magic resistance reduction instead. The damage is dealt in a 0.2 second interval, starting 0.2 seconds upon learning the ability. It treats destroying buildings, killing wards, ancient creeps and creep heroes as killed creeps. And you can upgrade it with the scepter, and then it adds 60% of Necrophos' current total health regeneration values as damage per second. Jumping to the ulti, you have the ability to cast your ulti on low HP heroes, and for every HP they are missing, they are taking extra damage. They are also stunned for the duration, and if you get a kill with the ulti, you get some permanent HP and mana regen. The damage is calculated and dealt to the target at the end of the stun duration, so you have the opportunity to lock somebody down for 1.5 seconds, still do a ton of damage with Sunstrike, Lina ulti, Zoids ult and everything, and then the damage is calculated. Reaper Scythe has the highest priority in the group of kill credit manipulation effects. This means that you are guaranteed to get the kill when you use this and the unit dies. All damage dealt to the affected target, including from allies, during the stun duration is sourced to Reaper Scythe and credited to Necrophos. This means when combined with other kill credit manipulation effects, for example Winter Curse, the kill credit is still given to Necrophos. There are some fun interactions though with some of the abilities in Dota, where the following conditions do not credit Necrophos with the kill credit. For example, when the Spirit Bear is instantly killed due to its owner dying while affected by Reaper Scythe, or when the affected target is brought into Supernova with Aghanim Scepter by Phoenix during the stun duration. The same thing is true for Patch when he catches a teammate with Dismember, and the number of stacks gained can be seen on a status path icon. Then we jump to the Shard. With the Aghanim Shard, you have the ability to basically blink somewhere to the enemies. You turn into the death pulse and you move towards the enemy position. Once you arrive at that location, the death pulse spreads towards nearby enemies and allies. This enables you to farm really fastly, clear out waves, and move in teamfights. We've been talking about the Scepter before, Heartstopper Aura. Yeah, it just helps you to do even more damage with your passive. Finally, we're getting into the replay. This is a rank 250 Necrophos player on the offlane. He has bought some Iron Branches and a Magic Wand, and the reason for this is that he's playing against a Bristleback, so he knows this will definitely pay off. He's also matched up against a Skywrath Mage, and he's guaranteed to get a ton of spells casted out here. As you can see, the laning starts with some huge aggression, but Necrophos has the HP and the Death Pulse to survive that. And that's what happens many times in the game, and this is exactly the goal that we want to have for Necrophos all game long. We want to be annoying, and we want to be looking to get all the kills while people overextend on us. So laning stage is going to be pretty basic. I think there's nothing specific about Necrophos. You just want to make sure that you use your abilities to harass the enemy and not mess up the last hits in the same time. Try to time them very nicely in order to secure range creeps, and yeah, just look to be full HP at most stages of the game. Keep in mind that getting the last hits is actually doubled important on Necrophos, because you get rewarded by the extra HP you get every single time you get a kill. As you can see, what he just did is he had his own range creep, and he used the Q, and this boosts the HP of his own range creep. And many times you can actually use this in a very clever way to prevent the enemies from denying a creep, and they try to overcommit, they try to get the creep, and then you prevent them from denying it, and you have a ton of fun on the hero. We keep harassing, we can keep right-clicking people. You can see that he's saving up his stick. We want to get as many stick charges as we can, and then ideally get the W before we press the stick charges. This enables us to get some extra regen out of it, and since we can get full HP just by last hitting, we always want to try to save up the stick charges as long as we can. His next items make sense for this specific matchup as well, so he's choosing to rush the plate mail instantly because it is going to give him the extra armor, and that prevents the enemy heroes to going at him. Boots are really great in this lane up as well, because in this case you do not out-regen a Bristleback, you do not buy items to get even more regen, you just try to avoid him by having movement speed. Always try to discern whether your lane is predicated on movement speed or on damage or on HP regeneration. He keeps harassing, he keeps looking for the CS, he's even looking to play aggressive here. He has the ability to dive, there's still a stick there, and he even gets a kill. And earlier than we noticed, those are 3 kills into the laning stage. We're approaching to minute 5, and this guy has 26 last hits already. So as you can see, Necrophos is a complete menace, and you can snowball lanes really quickly if you play very discerned and, what's the word, accurate with your last hits on Necrophos. And you can snowball by getting the last hits, staying high in the region, and then getting the nice. Because you have the advantage of HP, and you can take trades even if they're a little bit unfavorable for you, because you always regen up compared to the enemy. Here as well you can see that this Bristle is super desperate to get the last hits, and Necrophos uses his ulti here just for the stun duration to get in range. Of course it would be amazing to get the stack, but you can also use it to just close the gap. Getting the kill is still more important than getting the stack. Now we're just going to continue the pressure. We can see on the minimap that the Dark Willow will be moving towards us as well after they get the XP rune, and they're looking for heroes that try to contest that. Sky is trying to deny himself in the Ancients, but it doesn't work out. And now they can keep continuing to pressure the Bristleback if he still dares to show up on the lane. At this point, what we see most likely is that he's diving the tower, he's cutting creep waves. You just want to exceed your pressure as much as you can and always be on the edge of your limit and how far you can push and how much attention you can actually grab. If people TP to your lane, this would be absolutely perfect. We want to take the attention away from enemies, from our own safe lane and from our own mid lane, and we want to be playing aggressive and yeah, just tanking all of the things that they have prepared. So if they have a ulti on Sky, we want to be tanking it ideally. We just want to be a meat shield for our whole teammates, and the best way to do it is to push aggressively. And as you can see, he's not joining the bottom fights right now, even if they're happening there, or there was a mid fight. We don't join this. We try to force people away from the lanes where they want to play towards our lane, and we want to force them to interact with us. We don't want to be passively or like reactively reacting to what's happening. We want to be the guy that dedicates the speed of the game. So we want to be putting out pressure all the time, continuously looking forward to make aggressive plays and make it look as if we would be overstepping permanently, and then bait the enemies into going for us and then slowly dying because we have a ton of regen. Now the Sky is trying to defend the lane, and he's paying with his life here probably. We're just looking to force people top. We got a tower down in 10 minutes. This is a really amazing timing, especially for the fact that he was alone here on this side for most of the time, and Dark Willow has a lot of space to help on other lanes. And finally we get some people going at us. It actually takes 3 people for us to die, and we're still perfectly happy with this trade. We have TP boots now, so mobility is not really an issue here. As you can see, Silence killed us and Touch ulti, and those things can be prevented if we just buy Manta, which is a completely confusing item that you don't see on Necrophos usually, and I think I usually wouldn't recommend it as well. But in this case, there are so many heroes that get hard countered by Manta. The Shaman gets dodged off, and you can interrupt the chain stun if it's played nicely. You can get rid of the Skywrath Mage with the ult and the silences and all the abilities that they have. You can even get rid of the dagger from the Queen of Pain, and that's why he chooses Manta in this particular game. Once he has taken the top tower, he's looking to make action somewhere else. He only is going back to the lane now because he sees that the lane is pushed in and that the potential of aggression is gone already. He used his ulti and he wants to reset a little bit, and now he's playing into the top area again. And this is basically where you're at home. You want to be playing at the top area, in the top jungle area, and always steal the net worth from the enemy and be a menace, and then join wherever you need to. But keep in mind that the teamfight should be centered around you, and you shouldn't be centered around the teamfight. Clearing the top camps, boosting net worth, finishing a couple of items that he really needs is the only thing that we really have to do. Just looking forward to get more opportunities. So now we can see what a 9k MMR player really sets apart from many other players like me, for example. He has been in the top side where he should make the pressure and force enemy people towards him, but now he's TPing bottom. The reason he's TPing bottom is his foresight that Ursa is going to attempt to take the Roshan on the top side, and pushing out bottom and showing solo while his teammates are still probably in vision from the enemies on the top side forces them to go on him. He just finished his Manta and he has his Blade Mail ready, so he feels very comfortable to play into the enemy aggression, and now what we can see is a super sweet engagement. So he's pushing out one more wave, and look at the minimap, on the top side we can already see them going Roche. And then we look back at Necro, we see a engagement from Patch. And Patch used his ulti, Sky used his ulti, he used Manta and Blade Mail to get them low. And suddenly he's fighting 1 against 3 and he's just not dying. His ability to stay alive in the fight was basically due to his perfect itemization in this particular game. And now they get a 3 Roshan out of this because they forced their attention towards Necrophos. And so this is a prime example of how it should be looking like if you play Necrophos. You force the attention of the whole enemy team, you still don't die, and your teammates get everything they want. Later on in the team fights, you can see he bought some Heart and Shiva's Guard to mitigate their HP regen on Bristleback even further. He's just going to be the tanky dude. He even got himself a 4-staff to get out of tricky situation or moments where he gets cliffed like this. And then he's just frontlining every single team fight that's happening. He always tries to be engaged in the team fights and looks to participate wherever he can. And he wants to be centering the enemy focus on him, as we said earlier. His ability to tank the damage and to stay close to teammates and heal them as well is just extraordinary. As you can see, we are approaching a 100 HP region passively here already. And this is just going to be crazier and crazier. At some point it's going to be so difficult for them to kill Necrophos that they have to just ignore him basically. And this gives him the opportunity to do whatever he wants in the team fights and just sit on top of certain heroes without being contested and getting anything out of it. The idea of Necrophos is really to let them lose either way. If they ignore you, you just kill them all with slow damage. If they don't ignore you, they focus on you, they commit all of their resources on you, and your teammates can kill them. This is the main game idea of Necrophos and where you want to get at in the game. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this replay analysis and all of the guiding parts that went into it, all the tutorial side. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Leave me a like and a subscribe, I would highly appreciate that. And yeah, with that, see you in the next one.